Hi guys, it's a little ironic that Brexit supporters claimed that the EU was weak on the issue of immigration because over the last few years we've seen what appears to be a tougher line taken on the subject of asylum seekers and immigrants. The European Union has just approved a major reform called the Asylum and Migration Pact. The main points of it are to speed up the asylum process. This will also involve the returning of failed attempts to home countries. It will require EU member states to share responsibility. This is something that southern countries have been demanding. There will be more investment in technology to screen asylum seekers and improve border procedures. Now, while attempting to attract talent and support integration, which has been criticised by both left-wing and right-wing groups, NGOs have asked MEPs to vote down this reform. However, it was backed by the main blocs in the European Parliament. Here, Fine Gael MEP Sean Kelly explains why he supported it.
I think most people in Europe are sympathetic to the plight of migrants and asylum seekers, and I welcome them, but they expect it to be done in a fair and equitable manner. Up until now, that wasn't possible because we have different systems across Europe. So I welcome this package. I think it will bring coordination in line with our obligations under international treaties and conventions, and will ensure that there is a cohesive and proper manner in which asylum seekers are assessed. This notion that everybody can come to Europe, legal and illegal, and stay here indefinitely, that upsets people, and that's understandable. They expect it to be done, and now we can do it in solidarity. And I think once we do that, and every member state plays its part, we will help to have a proper structure and also break the power of the people smugglers who have got away with exploiting the most unfortunate people in the world for too long. Now I think we can get it done properly and fairly and show that Europe is compassionate and works in solidarity.
Thank you very much.
Now, while political organisations have criticised the pact, NGOs like Amnesty International have urged MEPs to vote down the reform. They have warned that the pact could lead to a surge in suffering for asylum seekers, as it seems to be taking a more hardline approach. There's also another problem. It didn't receive a huge amount of support from Eastern European and new entry countries to the European Union. During the vote on the new rules, Hungary and Poland opposed the final draft, while Bulgaria, the Czech Republic, Malta, Lithuania and Slovakia abstained. Sadly, public support over the last number of years for immigration and integration in the EU is very low. This has been mostly blamed on a backlash to irregular immigration. This negative turn in public opinion has been driven by growing insecurity resulting from economic recession, unemployment and a fear of terrorism. Now, of course, there are future migration challenges facing the EU. A recent study suggested migration to the bloc from Africa and the Middle East will continue to rise in the coming years due to sustained income gaps, weak institutions, state fragility, environmental changes, and the risk of natural disasters and conflicts. This will no doubt put additional pressure on the EU's migration and asylum system. However, Europe is facing a massive rise in the older population and a decline in the younger. This means in order to maintain the current economic model, it needs more younger workers, so relying on immigration from outside will remain a necessity. And of course, these issues highlight the complexity of managing migration and asylum in the European Union. However, if issues like housing, the economy and integration are not dealt with, we will see a rise in the far-right parties who will use immigration as a tool to gain power. Now, I just want to add a little bit about what Sean Kelly has said here. He talked about, well, we don't want a situation where people can come here legally and illegally and just stay indefinitely. This sounds a lot like the rhetoric we're hearing from the likes of Reform UK or certain parts of the Conservative Party in Britain. The rhetoric is very similar, it seems. Now, this idea that people can stay in the country illegally, no, there are mechanisms in place if somebody has overstayed their visa to have them deported. It's not necessary to introduce new legislation or new rules. This, I think, is an attempt by the right wing in the European Parliament to stamp their authority and to say, look, we are doing something about immigration at the European level. And then it's something that can be implemented at the local level or at the national level. This is about the right wing showing their voters they're doing something about immigration. Because the rhetoric sounds very much like we've heard from the likes of the Tories and Reform UK. we need to reduce immigration. When in reality, Europe needs workers. It needs to bring people in. There are issues regarding housing, regarding integration, but these are national level issues that need to be resolved at the national level. But for example, when it comes to Ireland or countries like Ireland, these are failures of government policy over the last number of years. They haven't built enough houses, but they're now saying, well, the problem is immigration. No, the problems stem from long before that. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot.